and get into the Chiefs versus the Bills. Again, we mentioned it's the gift that keeps on giving. We've seen this matchup plenty of times before, and we will continue to see it year in, year out. It's one of the more exciting. This is like the Brady versus Manning series for the new era. So I love this game. This is one I wanted to talk about first. Even though the Chiefs haven't been really the Chiefs that everybody has been used to up to date, again, they have the ability to break off big plays at any given moment, just with Mahomes back there at quarterback. And then, of course, Josh Allen, dude, he's playing phenomenal football. He is one of the only quarterback. He's the only quarterback in NFL history to average 250 plus passing yards and 50 plus rushing yards on the ground per game. So this is, just awesome. So glad we get to break this one down. Bills are 2.5-point home favorites as we go into Buffalo. Looking at the weather, there's really nothing crazy. It's going to be really cold, 20 degrees, but that's warmer than the two games that both of these teams played in last weekend. And there's really no projected precipitation, so I'm not worried about any major inclement weather. The point total sitting at 46.5. That's a bit lower than what we've typically seen out of matchups between these two teams, but I expect nothing less of excitement from this game. Before I get into any of the numbers, projections, and whatnot, Brendan, man, gut reaction to this line, and of course, let me know who you think is going to win this game.
Yeah, man, this is the game we look forward to every year. We always know it's going to happen. And initially, I'm thinking that the line is a little high here. I think it should be more of a pick 'em. If you give one of the teams 2.5 points, I mean, I'm willing to take the underdog there. And that's what I'm thinking here. I do think, unfortunately, that I think the Chiefs are going to go up there and get it done somehow. I mean, it's not pretty. It's not. We've seen the history of these teams play each other, and Patrick Mahomes always seems to come out on top. So I'm going to take the Chiefs with the 2.5, leaning towards I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. But I think it's going to be incredible.
So there's plenty to talk about in this game. One thing being the Chiefs defense. This is the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has played under. I'm sure everybody's heard that from every sort of media personality and sports coverage in regards to the Chiefs. But I think it doesn't do it justice either. The way that they disguise their defenses is unmatched compared to the rest of the league. They play a lot of too high safety. In fact, a quarter of their defensive plays are cover two at some capacity, but what they do best is they disguise it better than anybody. They do something that I've really not seen much before. They take their safeties and they rotate them pre-snap, so it looks like one high, and then they in fact switch. So they're just getting really creative on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's what's making it tougher for their opponents to kind of find success on against the Chiefs defense. And they get pressure extremely well, having Chris Jones back on the defensive line. Dude's a baller on the interior defensive line. And I think that the key for the Bills here is they're going to have to do what they do well, is play a lot of 12 personnel, the two tight end sets, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. When they're going to have to, kind of match up big on big against the Chiefs linebackers and kind of just play it smart. And I think the Bills can certainly do that. I think that's the key to success. I think they'll have a harder time stretching the field and having explosive plays, maybe with Diggs. Diggs did get banged up a little bit in the second quarter of the Steelers game last week. I think first or second quarter, he was able to continue and return playing, but it's something to note, take into consideration that they may not be as explosive on the perimeter as they once were. Gabe Davis is also up in question. He did miss last week's game, so
it's got to be a Gabe Davis game.
Well, I mean,
when you least expect it.
He missed last week, so I don't know if he'll even be ready to go for this week.
Getting ready.
And if he is, he won't be 100%. So yeah. I think that they're going to have to lean heavily into Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, and we saw him do that. Dawson Knox scored a touchdown. Dalton Kincaid had a couple clutch plays down the stretch. One thing that concerns me for the Bills, their defense continues to get banged up. They've already been banged up throughout the year, but we saw second-year linebacker Terrell Bernard go out on with an ankle injury, got carted off. He's done. That's a huge miss. Excuse me. Second-year linebacker Balin Spector, he also got hurt. Second-year cornerback Christian Benford suffered a knee injury as well. So it's just piling up. This reminds me of the 2020 49ers where they couldn't catch a break. I don't know if you remember that team, but they went like 6-10. But George Kittle, Jimmy Garoppolo, D Ford, all of those guys got hurt. Debo, they all got hurt, and it was like, oh my gosh, this team cannot catch a break in terms of injuries. So gives me a lot of those same vibes, and I'm concerned that the Bills' injuries on the defensive side of the ball is too much for them to
Yep.
handle.
Yeah,
And
I would
so
agree with that.
I think that it bodes well for them that they're at home. You know, of course, home field advantage in the playoffs is huge. And I think that's where they get the 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say the model likes the Bills by 4, 24-20 to be specific. So Bills by 4, but the game going a little bit under the total. And we've seen this defense overachieve even with the injuries. They said 8th overall in EPA per play allowed, but the injuries might be too much. You know,
Yeah.
There's got to be a breaking point where if you're missing over half of your defensive starters, you would have to think Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are going to capitalize. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I think if this is an Arrowhead, that the Chiefs win by like 10.
Yeah.
Because of all those things. But the fact that they have the home field, I mean, they play in similar weather, so it's really not a big deal. We talked last week about the Dolphins coming up there and playing in the worst conditions ever from Miami Beach, is where they were at. So, and they got destroyed. So, stuff like that are factors. But in this one, none of that's really a factor. Really, it's just the home advantage and the Bills. I mean, the Bills got to hate the Chiefs, man, because every single year they've got opportunity to like advance out of the AFC and they can't because they can't get back to the Chiefs. Can't get past the Chiefs. It's horrible. Like they're like these people are got to be suicidal on this stuff. This is crazy.
Yeah,
but I do think that the 2.5 is high. Like, what's your thought on that? Just personal.
I think the home field advantage is the reason the Bills get the nod. I do agree that it would be 50-50 on a neutral field. I think it's only right. Let's look. Okay, there's a couple ways that the Bills can win outright. One of them, we already talked about it. They run their 12 personnel, and there's mismatches between the Bills tight ends and the Chiefs linebackers. I think they can do that. Another thing is they have to run the football. And we see Josh Allen, he's running the football immensely well, better than almost any quarterback in the league. So Kansas City, as they sit 6th overall in offensive EPA per play allowed, that's because they're 2nd overall in EPA per pass allowed, but they're 30th in the league in EPA per rush allowed. And then Buffalo, on the flip side, on the offensive side of the ball, they're 3rd in EPA per rush on offense. So they can find success by running the football, and I think they will. I think that's how the Bills win this game, is if they run the 2 tight end set, they use that as a extension of their run game, and then, of course, they continue running the football with Josh Allen. That's how the Bills win this game. For the Chiefs, if they air it out like they did last week, and Rashee Rice is as consistent as he was last week, I think the Chiefs win. I think that now they're starting to slowly develop a superstar in the receiver game. And Travis Kelce is not what he was. He's had a steadily decline, but he's still a consistent target and a blanket underthrow for Patrick Mahomes. And so I think that with Kansas City being as successful as they have been, they're 8th overall in offensive DVOA, 10th overall in offensive EPA, they can certainly find success against this banged up Bills defense, no matter what. They pressure, or they allow pressure. How do I say this? Their offensive line is one of the better offensive lines in the league when it comes to allowing pressure. So Patrick Mahomes will have time. And I think that's how the Chiefs get it done, on the contrary. So for me, I like the Chiefs as well. I think they win outright in a close one. But, man, I can't say with any sort of conviction, because I think there is definite paths for both of these teams to come in and win this game.
Absolutely. I think the Chiefs have more paths to win than the Bills do. I think the only way the Bills win is what you were talking about. They're just not going to have anything on the outside, even if they have all their players back. Like, they're not going to be healthy, so they're really going to have to use Kincaid and Knox over the middle of the play action and the QB run. And James Cook's going to have to be good.
Yeah. Well, Bills are sitting at 2.5. 52% of the public is on the Bills. 71% of the handles on the Bills. So seems to be some heavy favorites for the Bills. But Chiefs looking nice, man. I think you're right. I think there are more ways in which the Chiefs can win this game just strictly due to injuries. I think that's a great point. So, but this game, again, the gift that keeps on giving, man. So I expect nothing less than fireworks for this. It's going to be awesome. I'm certainly looking forward to it more so out of the other games.